guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you saw my most recent video on how to use different powders like foundation powders and setting powders, there is one particular powder that I forgot to mention, and then someone left a really good question in the comment section of that video, so I thought I would address it in this video. So this is going to be a full face. I am going to do the entire look, but I'm also going to show you other ways you can use your contour kit. I'm going to be using the Anastasia Contour Kit, but this should work with any contour kit because they essentially all come with light powders and darker powders. And the question the person asked me was, can you use a contour kit to set your makeup? Yes, you can use a contour kit to set your makeup. That's how you see a majority of people using it. They use the lighter powders to set their under eye concealer, and then they'll use the darker powder to contour and set any cream contour that they use. However, I love to use my contour kit in a variety of different ways. I don't necessarily use it to set my under eye concealer. I haven't had much luck with using a contour kit to set my under eye concealer. It tends to still crease and separate throughout the day. So I haven't found a contour kit powder, or specifically the light powders in the kit, to set my makeup. So I thought I would show you guys other ways to use your kit, because who knows, maybe you bought it and then felt the same way I did, where you weren't having much success with setting your makeup with it. So I thought I would show you other ways you can use your contour kit other than the way you think it's supposed to be used. So if you're interested and want to see how I use my Anastasia Contour Kit, keep on watching. First of all, I'm going to start by putting this crazy hair of mine up in a bun so that it is out of the way, and I officially feel like a beauty blogger with these sparkly lights in the background of my video that I put up with some good old tape. For this look, I'm going to start with the brows, so I'm going to start by applying some Koh Gen foundation to the area around my brows using a Zoevo 102 Silk Finish brush. And to set that foundation, I'm going to apply the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish to the area where I placed the foundation using a Smith 112 brush. Doing this makes it a lot easier and a lot cleaner when applying a brow product. And the product I'm using is the Anastasia Brow Powder Duo in Chocolate. And the brush is the Delium 735 brush. To prep the eyes for shadow, I'm using the Laura Mercier Eye Basics Eyeshadow Primer in the shade Cotton. I'm applying a small amount to my lids and then patting it in with my finger. And I apologize, I did not mean to use my middle finger for this step. The first way I'm going to be using the contour kit is by picking up this light yellow powder on a Smith 112 brush and patting it onto my lids to further prep for eyeshadow. While I don't have any luck with it setting my under eye concealer, it really does help with setting my eyeshadow primer and helping with blending of other shadows. Next, I'm going to be using the darkest contour shade in the palette as eyeshadow. So the actual color itself is called Havana, and it's such a perfect warm brown. I use it for eyeshadow all the time, and I'm applying that color to my crease using a Smith 232 brush. This color is also perfect for days when you don't have time to do your makeup and you just want to define your eye shape. Just toss this in the crease and you're good to go. I'm going to further warm up this look by applying this really pretty orange shadow from Morphe. It's called Spice, and I'm going to apply that right on top of the eyeshadow that we previously applied using that same Smith 232 brush. I'm applying this shadow first to the inner part of the eye because I want that area to have the most orange and really make that shadow pop, and then blending it outward. And then before going in with any more shadow, I'm going to blend these two out using a Sigma E40 brush to just really diffuse the look of the colors and make them look almost as if they are one shadow. Next, I'm going to be applying the shadow Beauty Mark by Anastasia. Another color that's pretty similar is MAC's Sketch Eyeshadow, and I'm going to be using a Smith 230 brush to apply it to the inner and outer corners. And once that shadow has been packed on really well to the inner and outer corners, start softly blending it in towards the center of the crease. And to help further blend out that shadow, I'm just using that Smith 232 brush with some more of the Havana contouring powder on it. For the color on the lid, I'm going to be using Anastasia's Penny Metal eyeshadow, and I'm going to be packing it on using Smith Brush 247. Normally with a spotlight eye, I tend to really keep this shadow to the center of the lid, but I'm dragging it over the dark plum color to give a different effect. I'm done with the eyes for now, so I'm going to go back to the complexion. I'm going to be using the 2 different shades of the Koh Gen foundation and the NARS Hot Sand Illuminator to give an all-over glow to the skin. I like to mix these products together on the back of my hand with a concealer brush, apply whatever is left over to my skin, and then blend it out with that same Zoeva 102 brush. For a concealer and highlight, I'm using the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer, and I'm again applying it first to my skin using a concealer brush and then blending it out with a damp beauty blender. To set my foundation and concealer, I'm going to be patting on the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish powder all across my face using a Zoeva 106 powder brush. For the areas that tend to get a lot of creasing and product buildup, I'm going to be using a loose powder. I'm using the Ben Nye Luxury Powder in Cameo and a damp beauty blender to really pack that powder on to those areas, and I'm going to let it sit there for a while to really absorb any excess product and set the concealer. For bronzer, I'm going to be using the NARS Laguna bronzer and the Smith 118 brush. Always bronze before you use a contouring powder, so that way the contouring powder has something to blend into, because if not, you'll just end up with really harsh lines across your face. To highlight the high points of my face, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Illuminator in the shade So Hollywood in that same Smith 118 brush. This is definitely my favorite highlighter at the moment. I think it is all I have been using since the day I got it. To be a little more precise with my highlighter application on my nose and cupid's bow, I'm using a Smith 253 brush. And now that I've done all those other steps, now is a good time to brush off that excess powder that I placed underneath the eyes and around the nose. Now it's back to the eyes, and the first thing I'm going to do is apply that same contouring powder in the shade Havana to my lower lash line using a Smith 230 brush. And also remember to drag it back up into the crease to really connect the look of the eyeshadows. I'm also going to be applying that same orange eyeshadow to the lower lash line, but just towards the outer edge and back up into the crease. Using that same Sigma E40 brush, I'm just blending the outer edges of the eyeshadow. To fill in the upper and lower waterline, I'm going to be using another current favorite product of mine, and that's the ColourPop Gel Liner in the shade Best O, and I'm applying it with a Smith 212 brush. The reason I love this liner is because the color is just such a perfect alternative to using your typical black liner. Instead, this is a really wearable dark plum liner. To save some time, I decided to apply some mascara and false lashes off camera. I used the Flutter dimensional lashes, and I almost forgot one step. I'm using that same Anastasia So Hollywood Illuminator to highlight the inner corners of my eyes, and I'm also applying some of that mascara to my lower lashes. And finally, I'm going to be showing you one last way to use your contour kit. Using a Smith 112 brush, I'm picking up 2 of the medium tone contouring powders and really chiseling out my cheekbone. But then, using that same Smith 112 brush, I'm picking up the lighter powders, not the shimmery highlighting shade, but the yellow and the more pink toned one, and I'm using that to further define my contour. So sometimes when you contour, you can drag it down too low, or it might not look as sharp as you'd like it to, so just use those lighter powders to really define and chisel out your cheekbone. Same thing applies to when doing a nose contour. If you accidentally make it a little too dark and it's more defined than you'd like it to be, just pick up the lighter highlighting shades, not the shimmery one, the matte yellow and pink shades, and use that to diffuse and soften up the nose contour. To finish off this look, I'm going to be applying the Milani Baked Bronzer in the shade Glow as my blush. It's really complementary to the eyeshadow look because it does have an orange undertone to it. Anytime that you have trouble matching a blush to your shadow, just pick a blush with similar tones to the shadow that's in your crease. For a lip, I'm going to be using MAC's Antiqued Velvet, and I'm going to be applying it using a Smith 302 brush so that I can be really precise because I'm not going to be using a lip liner for this lipstick. However, if you do want to use a lip liner, MAC's Cork lip liner will work just fine. Alright guys, that completes this tutorial. I really want to start incorporating some of your questions into my YouTube videos, so I think from here on out I'm going to try and include 1 to 2 makeup questions at the end of a video. So while this entire tutorial kind of revolves around that one question that person asked, I kind of just want to answer some more of your questions by maybe including 1 or 2 at the end of the video, so that way you guys can stick around and see if I answer your questions. But anyway, if you guys liked this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so I see you in the next one. Bye guys.